There are a lot of reasons you're not catching fish. Don't let these 3 common mistakes be one of them. What's going on, guys? Steven Turner here with Crappy Man Jigs. Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the top 3 reasons I feel like a lot of people, whether you're new or pro, that you just end up having a bad day on the water. So hopefully you can listen to today's video, kind of eliminate some of these problems and be able to get more fish in your freezer or catch more fish in general. So the number 3 reason that I see on the water, that's teaching people how to use their live scope, how to use their electronics, or just going out fishing with people in general over the past however many years that I've been doing it, is having too much tackle. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got a wall full of baits and a website that you can get it all. But at the same time, I've been with probably 20 or 30 people that have had just every color, every company that they can find, and every size of jig, every size of whatever. And they have everything labeled and all that stuff. And what they end up doing is making 1 or 2 casts with this color, this style of jig, changing, making 1 or 2 casts with this color, this style of jig, changing. And what it all boils down to in the end is I like to keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method, whereas I'm going to use stuff I have confidence in, colors I have confidence in, and figure out what depth the fish are and how they want it presented to them. Those 2 things are way more important than having every color combination in the world. But at the same time, once you find fish and they stop biting, that's when you can throw the kitchen sink. Now, what colors do I recommend? For crappie fishing, I do recommend chartreuse, white, monkey milk, and something extremely natural like the Urgle color that I make here. Bass fishing, green pumpkin, black and blue, white. Use all those colors and get a bite. Now, if you stop getting bites, then start throwing a kitchen sink at them. So the number 2 thing is fishing dead water and complaining that you're not getting a bite. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been out there plenty of times, fish an entire cove, fish an entire row of docks, fish an area that should have been productive but wasn't productive. I've fished 2 or 3 miles of grass and never heard a bluegill pop in the grass and never got a bite. And that's just being hard-headed. If you're fishing a creek, a channel swing, a row of docks, and you're not getting a bite, there's a rule of thumb that there's only 5% of fish in 90% of the lake. If that makes sense. So if you're staying in an area way too long, you're just wasting your entire day. If you pull into a creek, check some areas for about 30 minutes. If you pull onto a brush pile, fish that brush pile for 10 to 15 minutes. If you're not getting a bite, move on to the next one. You can sit there and fish them out. Like, if you're fishing with minnows, you can stay there all day and catch 3 or 4 fish off that brush pile. But if you moved around, you could have got a lot more bites. If you're fishing on the bank, if you're fishing an area for 30 minutes to an hour, say you're catfishing or bass fishing or whatever off the bank, you're not getting a bite, it's time to move. I mean, even if that move is only 10 feet to the left or, 50 feet to the right, that move can make or break whether you're having fish tacos. And we love fish tacos. The number 1 common fishing mistake that I see people make is fishing history. I make this mistake almost every single time that I put in at certain places. I know in the back of your head, you caught a 5-pounder on that point. You caught an 8-pounder on that laydown. You caught a 2-pound crappie flipping under this dock. You limited out in 30 minutes 12 years ago at 9 o'clock in the morning on July the 4th. It's one of those things. Like, I fish a lot of the same brush piles. I fish a lot of the same points where the bass school for herring. I fish a lot of the same stretches of grass with the frog. But every day is different. And just because you caught a 7-pounder there last week doesn't mean you need to spend 8 hours there today. Just because you limited out on a brush pile yesterday doesn't mean you're going to go there the next day and limit it out. And the whole time you're just going to get so frustrated because you're like, I know these fish are here. They're here. I'm going to open my tackle box. I'm going to tie on every freaking plug I own. Every color of jig. Those crappy man jigs ain't worth a crap because I'm not getting a bite today. But yesterday I did. Fishing history can make you go insane. If I put it in the boat right now, let's say Lake Murray, if I put it in the boat at Drew Island, which is, the state park or whatever, 90% of the time I'm going to run to 2 or 3 points out there that I know. And if that does not work, you've got to change the game. You got to go find new water. You got to go find something else. If you're fishing from the bank, you caught a bunch of catfish in this one spot yesterday. You're there for 2 hours, haven't got a bite. You've changed your baits. You got to find a new spot. I know bank access is a lot different than in a boat. With a boat, you just crank up and go to a new spot. With a bank, it's kind of iffy. You can wait it out if you want to, but fishing history. The bad part about fishing history, though, is you can go back to an area that you went to that you caught something big. Say, if I go up the river, I've won, I don't know how much money in the Big Bass Tour going up the river and fishing a certain area. But in the back of my head, I know if I fish that area enough, if I go round and round and round and round, eventually I'm going to catch a bass over 6 pounds. Now, that can take 5 or 6 hours of throwing a frog 10,000 times. Versus I could have went and fished more productive grass and probably done the same thing. See, the thing with grass is you got to sit there and listen. And if you're not hearing shad or bluegill pop, it's kind of pointless to even be fishing it, because why would the fish be there if there's no bait there? Same with crappie fishing. If you're fishing a brush pile and you're not getting a bite, you run over it with your 2D sonar and there's no dang fish on it, then you're wasting your time. If you're live scoping, obviously that's the whole point of live scope, is not to waste time. If you're throwing at shad because you don't know what a crappie looks like, you need to take the time to figure out what a crappie looks like. If you're doing anything and not being successful, that is your own doing. You need to stop thinking in the past and create a future. Every day is different. Every fish is different. Every aspect of your fishing day. If you're throwing a black worm, they're biting it. The next day they want a green pumpkin. How are you going to figure out they want a green pumpkin without trying something different or going to a different area that you believe that those will bite? So, in retrospect, a lot of the most common fishing mistakes I see is just stuff that's easily fixable, but at the same time, it's a mental game. Like number 3, too much tackle. You want every color. You want everything with you in case it works. I understand that. But at the same time, you can waste a lot of time, and you can waste a lot of potential fish catches throwing something that they don't want, versus keeping it simple and finding fish and then figuring out what colors. Fishing dead water. If you're fishing, like I said, you're an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes. I mean, for me, crappie fishing, if I fish an area for 15 minutes and I don't got a bite, I'm moving. I want to eliminate as much water and give myself the best possible opportunities at all time to catch more fish. In fishing history, that's one of the hardest things to do, especially if you fish a local body of water a lot. I mean, eventually you're going to fish everything on the lake. And you just got to play it and fish in the moment. If you pull up to your favorite point and they're not biting, if you pull up to your favorite bridge and there's no fish there on the side scan, why are you stopping just to see? Keep going. Find the brush pile that has the fish. Find the point that has the fish. Find the grass that has the bait so you have the best opportunity to catch a fish. Instead of thinking, hey, I caught an 8 pounder there 20 years ago. I was using a 40-pound braid with a Gamakatsu 4/0 hook with a swim bait that had a little nick in the tail, so every now and then I cut a little piece off the tail. And one day that's going to happen again. One day. Stay slabby.